Hello， 大家好，我是晴天，欢迎来到名人名言的第8集。今天的主角是 Taylor Swift。Taylor Swift 应该大家都认识，其实他从很小开始便有着非常厉害的音乐天赋。Taylor Swift 10岁时便立志当歌手，11岁便到各大唱片公司递交自己的 demo。13岁时，父母为了达成 Taylor Swift 的音乐梦想，一家人搬到了美国音乐重镇 Nashville。Taylor Swift 也成为了 Sony 版权公司最年轻的创作人，从此展开了属于他的音乐故事。Taylor Swift 以专辑 Fearless 在全美经济大萧条的时间开出了红盘，这张完全由他亲手填词的专辑，在全美的累计销售已经突破了800万张。那么，这么成功的歌手背后到底经历了什么？他认为成功的关键又是什么？今天我们就来听听几个月前他在纽约大学毕业典礼中的演讲。因为整个演讲是半个小时的，半个小时有点太长了，所以我选了最精彩的部分出来，大概18分钟的时间，我们立刻开始吧。
The first of which is, life can be heavy, especially if you try to carry it all at once. Part of growing up and moving into new chapters of your life is about catch and release. What I mean by that is knowing what things to keep and what things to release. You can't carry all things, all grudges, all updates on your ex, all enviable promotions your school bully got at the hedge fund his uncle started. Decide what is yours to hold and let the rest go. Oftentimes, the good things in your life are lighter anyway, so there's more room for them. One toxic relationship can outweigh so many wonderful, simple joys. You get to pick what your life has time and room for. Be discerning. Secondly, learn to live alongside cringe. No matter how hard you try to avoid being cringe, you will look back on your life and cringe retrospectively. Cringe is unavoidable over a lifetime. Even the term cringe might someday be deemed cringe. I promise you, you're probably doing or wearing something right now that you will look back on later and find revolting and hilarious. You can't avoid it, so don't try to. For example, I had a phase where, for the entirety of 2012, I dressed like a 1950s housewife. But you know what? I was having fun. Trends and phases are fun. Looking back and laughing is fun. And while we're talking about things that make us squirm but really shouldn't, I'd like to say I'm a big advocate for not hiding your enthusiasm for things. It seems to me that there is a false stigma around eagerness in our culture of unbothered ambivalence. This outlook perpetuates the idea that it's not cool to want it, that people who don't try are fundamentally more chic than people who do. And I wouldn't know because I've been a lot of things, but I've never been an expert on chic, but I'm the one who's up here, so you have to listen to me when I say this. Never be ashamed of trying. Effortlessness is a myth. The people who wanted it the least were the ones I wanted to date and be friends with in high school. The people who want it the most are the people I now hire to work for my company. I started writing songs when I was 12, and since then, it's been the compass guiding my life, and in turn, my life guided my writing. Everything I do is just an extension of my writing, whether it's directing videos or a short film, creating the visuals for a tour, or standing on a stage performing. Everything is connected by my love of the craft, the thrill of working through ideas and narrowing them down and polishing it all up in the end, editing, waking up in the middle of the night, throwing out the old idea because you just thought of a newer, better one, or a plot device that ties the whole thing together. There's a reason they call it a hook. Sometimes a string of words just ensnares me, and I can't focus on anything until it's been recorded or written down. As a songwriter, I've never been able to sit still or stay in one creative place for too long. I've made and released 11 albums, and in the process, I've switched genre from country to pop to alternative to folk. And this might sound like a very songwriter-centric line of discussion, but in a way, I really do think we are all writers. And most of us write in a different voice for different situations. You write differently in your Instagram stories than you do your senior thesis. You send a different type of email to your boss than you do your best friend from home. We are all literary chameleons, and I think it's fascinating. It's just a continuation of the idea that we are so many things all the time. And I know it can be really overwhelming figuring out who to be and when, who you are now, and how to act in order to get where you want to go. I have some good news. It's totally up to you. I have some terrifying news. It's totally up to you. I said to you earlier that I don't ever offer advice unless someone asks me for it, and now I'll tell you why. As a person who started my very public career at the age of 15, it came with a price. And that price was years of unsolicited advice. Being the youngest person in every room for over a decade meant that I was constantly being issued warnings from older members of the music industry, media, interviewers, executives, and this advice often presented itself as thinly veiled warnings. See, I was a teenager at a time when our society was absolutely obsessed with the idea of having perfect young female role models. It felt like every interview I did included slight barbs by the interviewer about me one day running off the rails. And that meant a different thing to every person who said it to me. So I became a young adult while being fed the message that if I didn't make any mistakes, all the children of America would grow up to be perfect angels. However, if I did slip up, the entire earth would fall off its axis, and it would be entirely my fault, and I would go to pop star jail forever and ever. It was all centered around the idea that mistakes equal failure, and ultimately the loss of any chance at a happy or rewarding life. This has not been my experience. My experience has been that my mistakes led to the best things in my life. And being embarrassed when you mess up, it's part of the human experience. Getting back up, dusting yourself off, and seeing who still wants to hang out with you afterward and laugh about it, that's a gift.
Taylor Swift 总的来说给了我们5个人生的建议，分别是要明智的选择要留住什么，放弃什么，不要害怕尴尬而对一些事情感到却步，不要觉得尝试是一种羞愧的事情，有过错并不代表失败，你的未来，你的人生看的都是你自己。以上就是 Taylor Swift 演讲的精华，希望透过这段影片让你看到 Taylor Swift 的一些人生的智慧，让你从她的话中取得一些启发。上一集我们谈了科比， 他到底是如何做到坚持每天高强度的训练的呢？他的曼巴精神又是什么呢？想要知道更多的话，可以点击右上角，记住把影片分享给身边的朋友，让他们了解更多成功人士的思维吧。我是晴天，我们下部影片见。